episode of Pit Lane Yappers. I'm Mox.
And I'm Rosie, and this is the Miami Grand Prix weekend.
Before we get into the weekend, we had an announcement that Miami will be extended until 2041. I'll be 42 and Miami will be underwater, but you do you, I guess.
That's insane. Like, Antonelli in 2041 will be like 35.
We had some special liveries. Um, Sauber had one.
Yep, we're not
Um,
going to talk about Ferrari.
Price was ugly.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Ferrari have.
I think they should have really just accepted
You
um
either go in, you
the
either go
blue.
all in or you don't.
Yeah.
They have the commitment issues of a frat boy.
Anyways, then we had a Racing Bulls one, which was gorgeous. That's how you do a pink car.
Everybody take notes.
That pink car was Barbie's dream car, and I loved it. I'm not even like a pink girl, like I don't really like pink, but like if you're going to do a pink car, just do a pink car.
Yeah, like
And they did it. And
not
they
this
made their
like
suits
weird pretend
pink.
thing that
Everything was just good.
yeah, and everything it was beautiful.
The little tire
Um
caps being the Red Bull drink lid little what's that called?
yeah, that was so like the summer it was the summer edition as well,
Yeah,
like
it's the
the
little
pink one they
top,
do.
whatever that top is with the little bucking bull. Yeah, loved that. V carb,
Yeah.
Visa, and Cash App. We love you. Um, but let's get into FP1. So the first 5 minutes, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be boring." And then Lando reported that there were tools in his car. Um,
Yeah, I don't
there's,
especially like the size of it. How do you miss that?
I,
Like
I have no words. Someone's getting fired because what?
it's actually awful.
But yeah,
Like I don't understand.
and we also had another issue. Yuki said his seat height was too high, and even the commentators were like, "That should not be happening." Like, they should at least know, even if they were fiddling with it, they should know what height he likes it at by now. So, yeah, Red Bull,
Yeah.
what is going
And
on?
like and
But
then Lando was noted for unsafe release.
I don't know whatever happened. I don't think anything happened. I think it was a warning because it was FP1. But I didn't even see it. They were like noted for an unsafe release. Um, and then they replayed it, and I was like, unsafe release where? I think it might be the tools. Like, but I
Maybe.
don't understand why he wasn't putting a drive, like the other one where it was like driving in unsafe conditions. But,
But
um,
yeah, I,
yeah. Williams was cooking. They gave their car steroids, and I'm here for it. Like, I feel like everyone can
he
root for
seems to do
Williams.
well in the warmer weather.
Yeah. Like, there's not somebody I've ever met that's like, I hate Williams. Like, everybody's rooting for that team. And, like,
Yeah.
seeing them finally accomplish something, like, good, I was like, thank God. Like, this is what Williams
I think it's
deserves.
so interesting that they've managed to build a car that seems to do better in warmer conditions while based in England.
Well, yeah. Um, also,
Over the winter.
speaking of, like, flying on track, Isaac Hajar flew.
Baby goat.
Like, he was like, "Oh, you want me to be Barbie? Heard, say less."
I'll be
Like,
Barbie.
This is a note for Visa Cash App Racing, what Racing Bulls.
Whatever you're called.
Keep that pink car because you will do well. Isaac will do amazing. That's all I have to say.
The Alpines did well last year when they went pink.
Just note. And then, uh, okay. Also, right before the yellow to red, they were talking to Ruth, and they were talking about strategies. And they were like, yeah, Aston Martin is the only team to have a different strategy for practice. They go out on all sets of tires and they warm them up and they scuff them up a bit. And then they bring them back in and take them off. And those are the tires they wear. And listen, even Ruth said, yes, it can give you some grip. Like if it works, it works. But this has been going on for 3-ish years, and it's not achieved anything. So why aren't you like, hey, no other team is following us. Maybe we should follow them. This was a really bad weekend for me. Can you tell?
Yes.
And then we had a yellow car, not yellow card. Oh my gosh, yellow flag into a red flag. And Ollie Behrman was in the wall. And because it's a sprint weekend, this actually like hindered a lot of people because of when Ollie crashed. They couldn't do practice starts, so they had to go into sprint quali and sprint with no practice starting, nothing. So like the rookies were really at a disadvantage.
Yeah. And then like was it sprint quali that was delayed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything
And
was
quali.
delayed as well.
But sprint quali was delayed because of rain. It was not because of Ollie.
Lots of
but
rain.
That moves us on to sprint quali. So SQ1, immediately we had some snitching. Jack Doohan snitched on Lawson. He went, unsafe release, that's an unsafe release, like immediately. I was like, oh, that man is on it. And
also for SQ1, the medium tire was a mandatory tire to use.
And they were having a lot of helmet issues. This was the first time Yuki came on and he's like, I have to change my helmet. This wind, it's just going right into my helmet, which I never would think of Miami and go, oh, that's windy.
No, but then it is right by the coast, I suppose. But also, I don't like that. Surely your helmets are the same.
No, they have like 8 different helmets for different night, day, sun, when the sun's going down, or it's raining, or it's cold, or it's hot. So they probably put on the helmet for hot weather that probably has a lot more air blowing through it, so he doesn't pass out from heat. And it was just not good with the wind. But Jack Doohan, I have words for you. He is the reason Lance Stroll got out in SQ1, because Doohan was smack in the middle of the track and Lance couldn't get a flying lap in because of it.
Well, if it's any consolation, I think Jack might be about to lose his seat. So there
I know,
is
I feel
that.
so bad for him. It's not actually, I'm not like, oh, Jack, you're so annoying, because Jack, isn't this his first time driving in Miami? Like, if you don't know the track, you're going to be in the middle of the track.
Yeah, I think so.
But also, Yuki Tsunoda got one flying lap. His lap was deleted, and then Red Bull scrambled to get him out, and they didn't. So he missed his chance. So that caused Ollie Behrman, couldn't read my own handwriting for a second. Ollie Behrman Gabriel Bortoleto, Yuki Tsunoda, Jack Doohan, and Lance Stroll to get out in SQ1. Jack Doohan was furious with Alpine because he had a strategy that was separate with Pierre, and they were having Pierre go first. And basically, what I'm assuming and what everybody else was assuming, that Jack was held back to keep Pierre's flying lap clean, like so he wouldn't be impeding him, and they just didn't plan it in time, and so Jack just couldn't get a flying lap in. He was angry.
Yeah, valid crash out though, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understandable. But we also had some impeding. It was Hulkenberg and Behrman, and Max was impeding Lance. No further investigation for either of them, though. So that moves us to SQ2, which Fernando Alonso is through. That's all I have to say.
I really don't have any notes at all for like sprint quali, other than the obvious, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Okay, I've got a lot. So SQ2, first of all, Alonso was held up going out because he was called into the weighbridge randomly. Guys, listen, I understand it's a random check, but are we really checking the 10th fastest car? It's a tractor. Check a John Deere. It's better built than an Aston Martin. Like, really? But anyways, Aston had to do one flying lap. Likely. And while that was going on, Alex Albon was flying. So much so that he outqualified Carlos Sainz. And Alex came onto the radio and had a bit of sass. He was like, how is that Merc legal? Also, Lawson got out and he radioed in. He goes, God, that was so bad. As soon as he did his final flying lap, which is so, like, it's not funny because you gotta feel bad for people who are like, giving it their all, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so bad. But it was just the way that he said it. I was just like, yeah, he just knew. Like, he just gave up.
Yeah.
But Lawson was outqualified by Isaac Hajar, and Carlos Sainz was outqualified by Alex Albon for the sprint. Because
yes, and then SQ1,
SQ3.
we had a very SQ3, we had a very surprising pole sitter.
And he had one lap to do it.
And
Kimi Antonelli. And he is the youngest pole sitter in any Formula One format. Good for him. And he also set a new track record when he drove. Max obviously took that back when he got pole position for qualifying, but Kimi held it for a whole day.
Yeah.
So that moves us on to the sprint.
And the race.
The sprint. Charles was in the wall at the formation lap. Welcome back, Brazil 2023. No, 2024.
Don't bring that up.
I don't remember. And Yuki had a pit lane start. I was also so nervous because Max and Lando were starting on the same line, and I was like, oh god, we all know how that goes. It was a clean start though.
I was yeah.
And the formation lap was behind the safety car, and then it was an aborted start, and then they restarted, whatever, right? Back and forth. Welcome back, Brazil 2024. But everyone was on intermediate tires except Carlos, who's on full wets when they were starting, and everyone's like, that is not a good strategy because the rain had stopped. So it's gonna dry really quickly, and inters were the tires to be on. But and then they finally started. And Lance had a visor problem within turn 1. He's like, something's wrong with my visor. There's water in between the pull-off tag and the actual plexiglass. And while that was going on, Antonelli from pole position went off and lost 3 places. That poor child. Rosie has nothing because he was overtaken by Oscar. So, but on lap 5, Hamilton came in and said, lap 5, Hamilton came onto the radio and he's like, the car just won't turn. And this was also when Oscar and Kimi Antonelli were noted for the turn 1 incident. Like not even a second later, it was just no further action. So that I feel like that was the right call.
Yeah, I have that Verstappen was noted for a false start.
Okay.
Well.
Also, did you see where he was on his box? Because people are saying like, yeah. Oh, it's clear he's clearly over his box. No, it's not. The rule indicates your tires have to be over the box. His tires were behind the line. His nose was in front of the line. But the rule doesn't say his nose has to be behind the line. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, well.
And then, obviously, nothing came out of it. But lap 9, Max came onto the radio and he goes, yeah, I have no visibility at all. It's my visor. What is going on this week with helmets and visors? Like, what? Then that is when everyone on the radio was deciding whether to pit or not, because it was getting a lot sunnier, so the intermediates were going to have, like, no grip. And lap 11, Red Bull said, okay, we're going to pull the trigger. Yuki was pit for mediums, and that is when everyone started to pit. Lap 12, Hamilton pit for softs. And then lap 13, Kimi and Max came into the pit, and Max had contact. And Max's front wing fell off, well, part of it, and he went over the damage. And this was also when Carlos, I don't even know what damage he went over, but he went over something, and his tire got punctured. And that video of his tire just silently rolling away from him in the pit lane was actually one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen in my life. Like, I felt so bad. And then lap 15.
And then,
lap 15, you better watch your back, Liam Lawson. Liam Lawson literally tried to murder Fernando Alonso. Fernando was doing great. And then he got freaking thrown onto... Liam's like, I was ahead. First of all, no, you weren't. There are video proofs. No, not ahead. Second of all, Liam Lawson was off the track. But anyways, that brought out the safety car. And this was also when Max got a 10-second penalty. It was announced he got a 10-second penalty with an unsafe release. Yeah, I stopped watching after that, I'm not gonna lie. Fernando Alonso DNF'd. I was like, you know what? Life's not worth living anymore. You want to talk about Oscar Piastri?
Lando won the sprint.
Oscar
came second. Yes.
Oscar came second, and I don't really understand what McLaren's strategy was. I genuinely think that was just like sheer dumb luck with the safety car and them pitting. Like,
anyone.
I don't think McLaren even was expecting them to switch drivers like that. But at least it was a McLaren 1-2. It wasn't like they lost a bunch of time. It was like a McLaren 1-20. You know what I mean? But after this,
I think they wanted to avoid a Hungary.
Yeah.
They wanted to avoid a Hungary situation, so they pit Oscar first, and then the safety car happened.
Yeah. But to my Aston Martin Lance Stroll girlies, we got strikes, and we only had like 2 points, and I was like, you know what, I'll take 2. And then penalties started rolling out. Alex Albon had a safety car pace infringement, Like, so he was going slower than what he was supposed to go. Liam Lawson got a 5-second penalty. Should have been 5 points on his license, but whatever. 5-second penalty for causing a collision. And then Ollie Behrman got a 5-second penalty for an unsafe release. And I don't know which one, but one of them moved Lance Stroll up, and he got 4 points. 4 points. The only points we scored since, like, the first 2 races, all right? But we got points. But I was really scared when Alonso crashed. I was like, oh my gosh, he's not going to get into qualifying. But he did. So that moves us on to quali.
Qualifying.
Well, Q1.
The podium. There was a Ferrari there.
Oh.
Thank God.
Ferrari was struggling this weekend, but we'll talk about that.
Both Alonso and Charles's cars were repaired in time for quali, so
yeah, thank God.
Everybody was on the grid.
So Q1. As soon as it started, Alex Albon was noted for a pit lane infringement. Like, there was like one car on track, and it was like, Albon, car 23, Albon, noted for pit lane infringement. And I was like
immediately.
For what? Also, Alonso went P1. He was the only car on track, but he went P1, everybody. It's the small thing. I will also say, even though Lewis Hamilton got onto the podium for the sprint,
Queen.
Even though Lewis Hamilton got onto the podium for the sprint, he did not look comfortable in that Ferrari.
He hasn't looked comfortable in the Ferrari all season.
Yeah. This one, it was really noticeable this time, though, for me, at least.
I'll be so for real.
But I didn't have much notes for Q1. Except Bortoletto did...
I just got who we have out, and that's...
You can say it. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say who's out. It's painful for me.
We have Hulkenberg, Alonso, Gasly, Stroll, and Behrman.
We do have to note Bortoletto out-qualified Nico Hulkenberg.
In Q2, again.
Anyways, Q2. I don't have much notes for Q2 other than Ocon almost lost it. But he saved it, and it was quite impressive because he was in a very tight turn and he was in a Haas.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I have really, and then I just have who we have out.
Yeah, and a big upset was Hamilton was out.
Yeah, that was... I mean, it's not that shocking. I've seen enough Ferrari qualies to know.
I just think a lot of Hamilton fans are finally realizing Ferrari might not be the...
where you want to end your career.
Yeah. But Lawson...
I think a lot of people are also realizing that Charles is a lot better at driving than they've been giving him credit for, because...
Yeah. The people who were out were Liam Lawson, Jack Doohan, Gabriel Bortoletto, Lewis Hamilton, and Isaac Hadjar. Which we have to note, Hadjar did out-qualify Lawson again, but also Jack Doohan got into Q2 while Gasly did not. So... Noting that. But that takes us into Q3, which Yuki Tsunoda was into Q3, so proving Red Bull is a sort of drivable car.
Yeah.
Also, both Williams were in, and Ocon was in. We had a lot of teams that we were all like, okay, we're counting these people out.
Yeah, it was a really exciting top 10, to be honest.
Yeah. Also, I don't know which stream you're watching, but on F1, I think it was F1 TV. Charles's time went up. It's like car 16 time deleted, and everyone's like, why did his time get deleted? Like, it's really hard to go off on this track. And then they tuned into him, and he was literally almost in the wall. And they were like, oh, never mind. But I have one more note, and it is Max Verstappen got pole position.
Although, really, he should have been at home. If I was Kelly, also, yes, congratulations to Max and Kelly for their baby girl.
Lily Verstappen?
If I was Kelly, I'd be absolutely fuming.
They definitely had a talk about it like a long time before. I also feel like because of her dad, she kind of knew like, oh, I can't ask Max to stay.
But at the same time,
I'd still be fuming.
I'd be like, I've literally just pushed a real life human out of me.
Yeah.
And you're driving around in Lego cars.
Also the commentators when Max got pole. Yuki Tsunoda has no idea what he started.
It's the worst sentence I've ever heard. I never need to
I don't even remember the actual sentence, but they called him Big Daddy, and I was like, okay.
Please never say that again.
But that takes us on to the race. And before the race, they have a driver's parade. And I don't know whose brilliant idea it was to put 20 grown children into Lego cars and say, have at it. But
the Lego race, excuse me, Ferrari won that race.
Only time Ferrari will be winning a race this season.
And I would just like to say they won in equal machinery. Everyone pack it up.
I will say, I think it was Williams, Mercedes, V-Carb, and Ferrari. No, Alpine and Ferrari.
Are these all victims of George?
Yeah. Also, Fernando, I don't know, Alex Albon just posted a like a little clip on it on TikTok, and Fernando's driving.
Did you see?
Fernando, he's just going, yeah. He has like the most evil laugh.
Lewis and Charles, even on the way back to the pits, they were going forwards and backwards to try and make the car move faster, like this.
Yeah.
Like, give it up, guys. That's the pit lane.
Did you see Lewis posted? I sent it to you on TikTok, and he was like, "Is this maximum speed? Oh, this is maximum speed."
They haven't driven that slow probably since they were like 12.
But anyways, that goes on to the race.
Although, I do have one. If someone can explain to me how they made the giant Lego cars drivable, please do.
I know. So it was the group of F1 engineers basically made the base of the car, and then Lego built around basically a cockpit and an engine. It was basically they made little F1 cars, like go-kart F1 cars, and they just glued a bunch of Legos on them. It took months, probably, but that moves us on.
They told George it took 26 days to build them.
Yeah, that's impressive, to be completely honest. But we're moving to the race. Turn 1.
No. Gasly starts in the pit lane because his suspension was changed in park frame conditions.
You are correct. Okay, pit lane start. Oh yeah, that's right, because Lance moved up. I know my goat. Turn 1, they were following, obviously, the leader, Max, Oscar, Kimi, and Lando. And, there was a yellow flag on track. Yellow, green, green. And I was in a bar watching with my friend, and I was, like, surrounded by people. Everybody was Ferrari fans around me, except me. With my little Fernando Alonso hat. I was, like... And yellow flag, everyone turned to me, and they go, "Let's hope it's not Alonso."
That's so rude!
And I was like, please, I can't watch. It was not. It was a contact with Liam Lawson and Jack Doohan. Liam Lawson literally turned into Jack Doohan,
Let's
flew,
tell you,
and
Sky Sports showed a million replays of lap 1, and by the end of it I had actually no idea what had happened at all because they hadn't shown any actual...
They showed Jack's on board, and you can see Liam clearly, like, scooches around when they're already past the apex, and goes over his tire, and, like, it was kind of like, was it, I think it was Coda when Lance went into the back of someone and they, like, kind of bumped up.
Yeah.
It was basically that, but instead of, like, from the back, it was from the side, so he went over Jack's tire. Jack got a puncture immediately. It was noted. There was no further investigation. It was just a turn 1 incident.
And while that was happening, there was another yellow flag for up front because there was, like, Verstappen Norris contact at turn 2.
But we also have to talk about Kimi Antonelli for a second, because he was starting P3, and he went, okay, I'm going to follow Oscar, and just followed Oscar to P2. That was a crazy move for Kimi Antonelli.
He learned from the sprint.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, well, he knows what he's doing, so...
There's also a stat, and it still stays true to this day. Nobody has won Miami from pole position.
Or the front row entirely, actually.
So. But, yeah. Lap 10, at least on my stream, is when they showed the contact with Max and Lando, and I was like, when was this? And then I was like, oh, it's lap 2. Wait a minute. There's been 8 laps and nobody's shown that yet.
Yeah.
I was like, rewind. But lap 10, it was Max versus Oscar for a while, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was really, really scared.
Trust me.
Because I was like, Oscar, don't be stupid. You have the faster car. And I'm not saying he is stupid, but sometimes when you're racing, you don't really think, like, oh, I'll just let him go by because I have the faster car and I'll have DRS so I can just get by him faster. Like, you're just, oh my gosh, he can't get by me. And so I was like, Oscar, don't you dare. And yeah, he was good. I love when Max and Oscar race because they're both kind of the same type of driver. Oscar's less rash,
so clean,
but he knows when to push the limit, and so does Max. And I feel like Oscar is kind of like Max in the sense of he knows the rules, he knows what's fair, he knows what's hard racing versus what's completely illegal. So, like, when Max turns into him on a corner, Oscar lets up because it goes, yeah, that's legal, but, you know, it's not fun, but it's legal, and I'll get him back next time.
I think that Max and Oscar racing is quite reminiscent of Max and Charles racing.
Yeah. But
just
this
nice
is
to
when
watch.
Oscar was still P2. And on lap 14, it was hard racing for the longest time between Max and Oscar, and then lap 14, Oscar finally overtook Max, and I was like, okay, that was painful, but okay.
Before all of that, well, the doing thing got a safety car, but that ended pretty fast.
That was so fast.
And Max had radioed in and said it's super slippery to drive.
Yeah.
Just before Oscar overtook him, and also Alonso spun.
I wrote that down and I crossed it out because I was like, you know what? We don't need to comment on that. He did save it though.
I will.
He did save it though. He just wanted to go for a spin.
Cappuccino.
And then lap 16, this is when Lando and Max were really fighting. Lap 16 is when Lando overtook Max for the first time, went off, And Max went, excuse me, he went off, he needs to give me my position back. And then gave the position back, and that's when, is it Will?
Yeah.
Came onto the radio and said, um, it's fine, we'll get him back another time. And 2 laps later, Lando overtook Max, and it stuck. And this was also when Carlos started. This is when the penalties started getting noted. Carlos was noted for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. And this was also when everyone goes, okay, rain is coming. And rain never came.
No, not even one time.
The only person who said there is rain in the radar, however, it looks like it's going to skirt around the track, was Lance's strategist.
Bortoleto was the first person to pit on lap 20.
Yeah, it was interesting. I don't get stakes. I don't even want to call it strategies. Attempts. That's what
but while he did that, Ollie Behrman had a mechanical failure and was in the wall. For those of you not caught up,
he was not in the wall.
He did. He spun out and hit it because he had no power. He had, for everyone who is not paying attention, that is a Ferrari engine in Ollie's car.
Yeah.
And this brought out safety car number 2.
Did you see the radio? He came on and he goes, oh man, I don't know what happened. I just lost everything.
Yeah.
And his engineer was like, it's okay, Ollie, it's fine. It's a PU engine issue.
And then the safety car is where things got interesting.
Oh my god. Everyone pit.
Yeah.
Well, not
McLaren
everybody, but
double
everybody.
stacked. And Mercedes pit George, who takes P3. Woo!
Can I also say Charles's pit stop was actually before the safety car, Kimi pit, and that was a really bad pit stop. It was the front left. They were really struggling. Then the virtual safety car came out and everyone else started pitting. Charles had a slow pit stop and everyone's like, wow, that was really bad from Ferrari. And then George pit and he had the same issue as Kimi. His left front was not coming off. Yeah. And also that was when Yuki was noted for speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah.
And got a
and then
10-second penalty. And this was also when Gabriel Bortoleto said, I don't know what's going on. I'm losing everything. I'm slowing and I don't know what's going on. For everyone who's not paying attention, that is also a Ferrari engine.
Speaking of Ferrari, there was some beef on track.
Okay, we're not there yet. Lap 32, Bortoleto was told to box to retire the car. However, he did not make it to the pit lane, so that brought out another safety car. It was very quick, though. Very, very quick, because he was basically behind the barriers anyways. And then lap 34 is when it was Carlos versus Charles and Lewis. And it was a double overtake. However, Hamilton? Through goes Hamilton.
No, I said the exact same thing.
Through goes Hamilton. I was like, okay, there's the Hamilton everybody remembers. There he is. And also, I think this was the safety car that Max came onto the radio and immediately went, George wasn't lifting in the safety car, and George came onto the radio without even being told, going, I lifted, because he knew Max was going to report him.
Max trying to beef George is so funny, because let me tell you now, you're the only 2 bitches on the grid who have read the entire regulations front to back.
I think Oscar's getting there, though. I do think Oscar's getting there.
You're going
also, Fernando Alonso also has read it to see where he can break the rules a little bit. Nobody would notice because it's such niche rules that nobody even like the stewards don't know that's a rule.
Um, but like Lewis and Charles were having a little bit of not with each other, but back and forth with the pit wall, who
Hamilton.
are largely incompetent. Um, they were going approximately the same pace,
Okay,
but
I have
Lewis
to say
had.
it. Lewis had mediums, Charles had hards. Charles
That's what I
pit
was about to
first before
say.
Hamilton. So Hamilton had the fresher and
That's what I was going to
faster
say.
tires. However, Charles was gaining on, was it Antonelli?
Yeah.
Antonelli. Like I do think they Hamilton had the right to say I'm faster, I have fresher tires, I'm just burning rubber here. We need to swap positions. But if Charles had a few more laps before this whole thing happened, he might have been able to overtake Antonelli. And then Lewis would have been able to, and then swap positions.
Let me tell you, all this beef over fucking P7.
While this was happening, everyone, I do have to say, Liam Lawson was told we have to come in, retire the car, and Lawson's like, "What? Why? I'm fine." And they go, when you get out, you will see, um, we have a chunk of car missing." And that is the words they used, a chunk. And it was a chunk. And also, apparently, somebody who was on Lawson's radio or something, he was complaining about back pain the entire time. He had to be helped out of his car and helped out of his race suit.
Um, uh, Lewis told uh, Lewis told his race engineer to go have a tea break while you're at it, because he didn't feel like they were paying attention to him and his race. Uh, I'm perfectly sure that's going to go in the Ferrari words of wisdom. Um,
Um, I will say, I will say, um,
funny as
when
shit.
I don't even know who it was on the radio, but Lewis, I don't know what the radio was, but it was like something with, signs is something. And Lewis goes, "Would you like me to let him
Oh,
by too?"
they said Signs is 1.4 seconds behind, and this goes, yeah, you want me to let him through too, because you've just been asked to let Charles back through because Charles was faster.
After that Hamilton Charles radio stuff, um, there wasn't much going on. I will say the McLarens were 30 something seconds ahead. That's all I have
And
to say.
with that, Oscar Piastri crossed the finish line in first place.
And I will tell you, I have never been so endeared in my life by a man failing the gritty ever.
You could see him thinking about doing it, and then he did it.
He was like, "Shoot,
So
I have to do
embarrassing.
it."
We
Yeah.
are dead last in the Aura Championship.
So it was Oscar P1, Lando P2, and George Russell P3. I wanted him in that pink hat, and I got it.
Everybody, my podium prediction was completely correct.
Yeah. I will also say, I feel like George, where did he start? P6?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. Hold on. I think it was P6. P5. Going from P5 to P3, George consistently getting podiums and getting very, like, high scoring positions. I feel like that really shows, like, he is a championship contender. I don't think he's gonna win it this year, but he is only 6 points behind Max.
Yeah, absolutely. And
He was only, I think,
I know
16
we've
points
said this
behind
already.
Lando.
I don't think Charles is going to win it, but I definitely wouldn't like.
Count him out yet?
Yeah, don't rule him out completely.
But with Oscar's win, this has him leading the championship by 16 points.
As
Um,
president.
he now officially has 131 points. And McLaren, uh, there's no stopping them now. They're like, I
Um,
think they're like over 100 points leading.
this win, his third win in a row. He is the first McLaren driver to win 3 races in a row since Mika Hakkinen in 1998, which is obviously 27 years ago. With, yeah.
I just checked my fantasy team.
Oh, yeah, I've not.
Fernando Alonso
Um,
on Miami has scored minus 13 points.
Also, don't let this distract you from the
Also,
fact
Charles Leclerc has scored minus 16 points.
that Sauber has the fastest pit stop of the race.
Yeah. Who got driver of the day? Do we know? Does it say?
Oscar. Oscar did.
Hmm.
But can we take a moment for Alex Albon in P5?
Oh my gosh, that man was celebrating P5 like it was P1.
I know, so cute.
And you know what? So deserved.
He finished alongside his old teammate Max, so I bet that felt good, knowing he'd turned down Red Bull over the summer and then finished alongside them anyway.
But that's it for Miami that I have.
Yeah, that's all that I have.
But the rumor is now Franco Colapinto will be replacing Jack Doohan by Imola. He basically had Miami to prove that he was a worthy driver for Alpine. And obviously, Liam Lawson took that opportunity away from him. However, I would get it if it was Red Bull, if it was McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari. Like, if they were the top 4 teams really fighting for points,
yeah,
I'd get it. But you're fighting for 1-2 points every weekend. Like, give a rookie at least his rookie season.
yeah.
Like
it's
not that serious.
You're doing they're actually doing Jack worse than Red Bull did De Vries and worse than Williams did Logan by one way.
Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, Red Bull's the worst team to drive for. No.
They've got better in recent years, I think.
Because if Red Bull doesn't like you, you know it.
Yeah.
There's never been a time where, like, a second driver was like, no, Red Bull's my home, they love me very much, I'm safe here. Even Checo, who was like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm staying, was like, yeah, I kind of knew this was coming.
But you can't confirm it before they do.
Yeah, like, same with Daniel Ricciardo. As much as it hurt, like, Daniel knew.
I think.
Also, wait a minute.
Nice.
Speaking of Daniel Ricciardo, can we talk about how Daniel Ricciardo's line, Enchante, is now sponsoring Racing Bulls in F1 Academy?
Oh, wait. I'd also like to point out that I think Daniel Voodoo is working in Oscar's favour. He told Oscar to keep flying the flag, and that is exactly what Oscar's been doing all season pretty much so far.
But before we leave, Cadillac had a little livery reveal. I didn't see it. All the videos don't have the livery. It's just going to be shiny silver right now to me. But I am very excited for this team. And did you see what driver and management team was there?
Was it Seb?
No. It was Mick. It was Mick. He was the only driver there. Rosie, I can't tell you how quickly I will be a Cadillac fan along with Aston Martin if Mick Schumacher's there.
Also, Checo has been rumoured to be connected with Cadillac as well.
Oh my gosh, all of his fans were lining the entryway to Cadillac, chanting Checo.
So
And I was like, they're not going to reveal who
Um,
their drivers are right now. Like, it's just not. But that was it for Miami. We have 1 week off, and then we are in Europe.
we are in Imola next time, which is a V-Carbs racing balls, whatever you want to call them. Um, that is Barbie's home race.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's also Kimmy's, isn't it? Isn't Kimmy's home race technically Imola?
yeah, I think so. Everybody will say Ferrari, but Ferrari's home race is Monza. Obviously, it's Italy, so it's Ferrari, but their actual home race is Monza.
We forgot to do our winner and loser.
Oh,
Miami.
let's do them.
Okay, your winner. I don't even need to
Oscar.
ask this one. Yeah. I would say Oscar too, but I'm gonna say someone else. You know what? I'm gonna
Not like other girls.
I'm gonna put Kimmy.
Solid.
Yeah. I just feel like he was really good this weekend. Okay, and then your losers. Loser.
Ferrari.
I'm gonna say Jack Doohan, but not by his own faults. I just think he had the cards stacked against him, and he had the worst luck possible in Miami. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
see you
so
in
excited for
Imola.
Imola. I love Imola. I'm upset it's leaving the calendar. But we go to Europe. So all right.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.